Have you ever felt like you're doing everything right before bed, but you're just not getting the sleep you want? We're constantly bombarded with rules for the perfect evening routine. But what if a lot of those rules are actually outdated? Well, today we're going to unpack the science and see what it really says.
So I want you to really think about this for a second. With all the advice out there, from blogs to experts, could the very routine you've so carefully built to help you unwind and sleep better actually be making things worse? It's a super frustrating thought, right? But we're about to dive into some powerful new science that might just change everything.
And here it is, the core of the problem. You've heard this a million times. Exercising at night is a terrible idea. It'll get you all revved up and ruin your sleep. That was the old rule. But a huge wave of new, comprehensive research is telling a much more interesting story.
So first up, let's talk about the evening routine dilemma itself. It turns out the quest for that perfect routine can become a major source of stress all on its own, which leads to this feeling.
It's a classic case of analysis paralysis. You got one expert telling you to do one thing and another telling you the exact opposite. So just deciding what to do feels like this monumental, exhausting task. We're going to cut through all that noise with some solid data.
All right, section 2. Let's bust one of the biggest myths out there, exercising after dark.
For years, this has been the official guidance. It's what doctors have said, it's what we've all believed, and it's forced a lot of people to choose between getting a workout in and what they thought was a good night's sleep. But what happens when we actually look at all the evidence together?
The key here is just the sheer scale of this investigation. Researchers didn't just do one little study. They conducted a massive network meta-analysis, which is basically a study of studies. It's the gold standard for scientific evidence. They started with over 12,000 studies and filtered them down to only the most rigorous, high-quality trials. This was a huge undertaking.
And after all of that digging, the conclusion was crystal clear. For most healthy adults, working out in the evening does not mess with your sleep. In fact, as we're about to see, it might even offer some small but pretty cool benefits.
So let's break that down. A light workout, like a walk or some stretching, actually help people fall asleep a little bit faster. Moderate exercise, think a brisk walk or a light jog, was linked to sleeping more soundly with fewer wake-ups during the night. And what's really amazing is that even high-intensity training didn't really cause a significant delay in falling asleep. Now, in the spirit of showing the whole picture, the researchers did find one small downside. You can see it right there, highlighted. Really intense, high-octane workouts were linked to a slight decrease in REM sleep. But, and this is so important, that was the only significant negative they found across all those studies. For most people, the overall picture is overwhelmingly positive. Okay, so if the science says evening exercise is generally fine, why do some of us still feel totally wired after a late workout? Well, that brings us to our next piece of the puzzle, understanding your own personal biology. Because a one-size-fits-all routine, it's pretty much doomed to fail.
It all comes down to this key concept called your chronotype. And this isn't just a preference, It's not just about whether you like mornings. It's your body's innate biological clock. It's what makes you either a natural lark who pops out of bed ready to go or a night owl who really hits their stride in the evening.
And what's so fascinating is that being a night owl isn't some kind of flaw you need to fix. Recent research actually revealed that night owls performed better on cognitive tests for things like reasoning and memory later in the day. It suggests it's not a bad habit, but a potential biological advantage for evening productivity. Pretty cool, huh?
So the real problem here isn't the night owl's biology. It's something called social jet lag. And it's this constant clash between your body's natural rhythm and a world that's pretty much built for early birds. Early school start times, the classic 9 to 5 workday. It's basically like living with permanent jet lag without ever leaving your time zone. And that mismatch creates another huge challenge. Even when we know what we should do, why does just planning to do it feel so incredibly draining? That brings us to section 4, the science of feeling too tired.
The answer lies in a very real psychological state called decision fatigue. Think about it. After making hundreds, maybe thousands of tiny decisions all day long, what to wear, what to eat, how to answer that email, your brain's ability to make good, thoughtful choices literally gets worn out.
And this is the absolute key. By the time evening rolls around, your mental energy tank is running on empty. So the cognitive load, the sheer brain power it takes to just plan a new routine can feel just as taxing as actually doing the workout itself. Your brain is basically saying,
Nope, I'm done making choices for today.
So how do we fight back against this? Well, the research points to 3 really clear strategies. First, limit your choices. Don't try to build some crazy 10-step routine all at once. Start with just one thing. Second, automate whatever you can. Create simple, repeatable steps to save that precious mental energy. And third, and this is a big one, embrace imperfection. Just let go of that pressure to find the single perfect routine.
Okay, let's put this all together in our final section, building your personalized routine. We've debunked the big exercise myth, we've explored our personal biology, and we understand why our brains feel so tired at night. Now let's build a smarter routine based on what the science actually says.
So here are the simple, actionable takeaways. If your main goal is to fall asleep faster, the data suggests trying some light evening exercise, like stretching or a gentle walk. If you want to sleep more soundly with fewer interruptions, moderate exercise seems to be the way to go. To align with your biology, get to know your chronotype and work with it, not against it. And finally, to make any of this actually stick, you've got to fight decision fatigue by keeping your routine incredibly simple.
So let's end with this question right here. I want you to forget about the perfect routine, just for now. Based on everything we've talked about, what is the one simple, tiny choice you can realistically make tonight to improve your evening?